Do you want to save your first $100,000? I did this in my young 20s, and I want to share how I did it. So first, you simply have to decide. No one gets anywhere if they don't decide what they want. You're going to get somewhere, but you're going to get somewhere you don't necessarily want to be. So the first step is to always know where you want to go, and then you can start taking actions that will get you there. Number two, once you know, you then need to figure out how to get money, because you're not going to get $100,000 if you don't have any money coming in. Now, this started with me since I was 11, 12 years old. I had jobs, I owned businesses, I did different things where I was able to make money. But even something simple as getting a birthday check from an aunt or an uncle, and I would pay myself, I would save it. I took so much joy and pleasure going to the bank and putting it in my account and watching the numbers go up. And I'm weird like that. My first purchase was a cash register, so I'm a little different, but it was amazing. And so how can you make it a game as well with yourself? Like, I'm going to get to $100,000. I'm going to do this and make it exciting to get to that first 100K. Now, maybe you have some money coming in. Maybe you don't get birthday checks. Maybe you do every once in a while. And I'm not saying it has to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was like $20 or $25. And that's amazing. I know not everyone gets that. But how can you create a business? How can you go get a job? I sold art. We created a spirit store. I made a magazine with American Girl doll stuff. We did lemonade stands and apple cider stands, and we almost did hot cocoa stands in the winter, and sold candy at school, and I babysat and I walked dogs, like all sorts of different things like that. And then I was a server, a waiter, or did other jobs and a camp instructor and stuff. So get creative. What do you want to do that's going to help you bring some money in? And if you're older, you can get a job, any job, and get that money starting to work for you. Now, obviously, once you make money, you need a way to reduce your costs. Okay. So when I was a child, I still lived with my parents, right? And so that money, like my parents, they did take care of us. They weren't like multimillionaires or had tons and tons of money, but they did take care of us and helped us in a lot of ways. So that was amazing. And so I was able to go, okay, well, I can put this money aside. Like, I don't need to go buy extra toys or extra things. Like, I'm grateful for what I have. And I don't need to go buy groceries or things. And so I was able to put that money aside. So if you're young, do that. If you're not young, how can you reduce your expenses? There's a lot of ways to do this. So the big three I call are housing, food, and also your car, transportation. So if you can reduce your expenses in any of these three areas, you're going to be good to go. And I can do a video, or I can maybe do a free blog post or something with some extra tips on these things. But for food, you want to be really mindful. Don't just go to any grocery store. We shopped at Walmart for a long time, where there was this one grocery store where prices were super low, but Walmart was our go-to. I didn't buy like all these different types of foods and all these different meals. I was very strategic and simple. The more you can simplify things, you're not going to have as big of a grocery expenditure, okay? You can also eat more plant-based or something simple like rice and beans. Rice and beans, you could get a lot of that, and that's good protein. It's a complete meal there, and then you can maybe buy some vegetables or something to go with it. And so get creative. You can even order your groceries. When you order them online, you can see how much you're actually going to spend, and then you can adjust. And I could go, oh, okay, I'd actually rather they get this, and then I wouldn't get this, and it prevents impulse buys. So that is a strategy you can implement. And if you want more, let me know. Transportation, that is key too. You don't have to go buy the newest car. Now, if you want to, you can. If you want to, you can. But if you can survive off of like a clinker car or something, a clunker car, whatever it is, then that's going to be amazing. So if you can spend a little bit of money on a car or have a really low car payment, that's going to help you. Now, sometimes it might be in your best interest to go ahead and buy the car that you want. Get a used car that's 3 to 5 years old, because then a lot of that value is already depreciated, but then you still have a nice car that's going to last you a while. So I could do a whole video on that if you're interested, because I think it's with a car or with anything, it's not only about the money, but if you are really driven to get that first 100K, you are going to have to sacrifice in certain areas. The other part is housing. So it doesn't matter how old you are. How old are you? Can you live with your family? I know that really helped, living with family, living with them after college, living with roommates. That was helpful as well. That reduces your expenses. So if you're splitting an $1,000 apartment 4 ways, that's $250. If you're splitting an apartment that's $2,000, that's $500. That's still really helpful. And so get creative. I know a lot of people living with your family isn't an option. It's not possible. It's also wouldn't be good. You can try to find friends, try to find other options in other ways. There's always a way. And maybe if you can't figure that part out, sacrifice in another area or go figure out how to make more money faster. Once you're getting money coming in, you want to pay yourself first. So like I said, I would always take the money and pay myself. If you do have more expenses and you are a little bit older, you're going to have to get really clear on how much you're spending. My husband and I went through and we looked through our bank statements and we got really, really clear on what are we spending money on? What can we take away? What can we get rid of? And really saw that because you're like, oh, I'm just spending money on groceries or I'm just doing this, but it adds up. It all adds up. So see where you want to spend your money. And it might take a little bit of sacrifice or a lot of sacrifice temporarily. Maybe you're like, I'm going to go for 1 year, 2 years. We're just going to go hard on this. And then you're going to get the rewards of that. And so that's not the only option. Of course, I would love to just tell you, go learn how to make more money. And I have videos on that and I can do even more videos on that, but I do think some of these basic principles are helpful and it is what I did. I'm not saying that everyone wants to do that or should do that, but it does take some sacrifice and commitment and some grit. So let's talk about that. If you want to earn more money, that's going to be better. I listen to a lot of the advice like save and live below your means, but at some point you have to make more money. And so I think investing in you, if you want to build that first 100K, great, if that's what you need, but ask yourself why. Like maybe you need to just go figure out how to become more valuable now. So instead of just saving that money, what about investing in yourself? I wish I would have done more of that. Of course, I have this giant buffer where it feels like it's like we have money and so I can take more risks or etc. And I'm like, hey, we still have this money because of the work we did. But I think I would have gotten where I wanted to be even faster and more in an enjoyable way if it wasn't just the sacrifice and deprive and live way below your means, right? And so how you do that is learn a high value skill, invest in your education. You want to be a person of value. You want to specialize in things. There are tons of ways, but it all comes back to you. You are the ultimate asset. So invest in yourself. Treat yourself like an asset. Treat yourself this way. And it doesn't mean I want you to go into all this debt because, there is the risk there. Some people do go into the debt, but then they're able to bring themselves out of it. Or if you are going to get the degree that's going to make you $250,000 a year, but you go in the hole at $500,000 a year, you have to know, am I going to make this back? When am I going to make this back? Like I did that with my master's degree. You can make, $5, $6, $7, $8,000 more a year by having a master's degree. But instead of going and spending $100K on it, I spent like $13,000, $14,000, $15,000. And so paying that back didn't take very long. And then I did make that $8,000, $9,000 extra. So really be strategic and smart about this. But a lot of times we could see the benefits of the stock market and you just want to invest and you just want to start there. But I would caution you because the best way to make more money is to become more valuable, and to invest in yourself. And so whether that's a business, whether that's skills that you have, whether you're working at a job that pays you a lot, that is where you're going to see the most bang for your buck. And so it might take a while. It might not happen overnight, but kind of weigh your options on, is this 100K? Is like, how is that going to benefit me? Like what, or is just having an emergency savings going to help? And maybe I employ some of these strategies just to get to 10K or 20K. And now I have this little bit of buffer, but then I'm going to go invest in my education, invest in my knowledge, invest in skills, build businesses, provide value. And then I will have even more money to live a good lifestyle and to invest in assets and things that will grow my income, etc. So I think be mindful and be cautious. And that's why you need to learn and see what all the options are. And that's why I wrote my book, because I think people were told me just live below your means or invest in the stock market. But there's so many other strategies you can do that are more effective and that can help you become a millionaire or wealthier and happier, because that's part of it too, faster. Money is important, but I want you to think about what you actually want in your life and for your life. And so it's easy for someone who has money to just be like, oh, it doesn't matter as much, right? Especially if you're going to a job you don't like, or if it's impacting your choices in your lifestyle. But really get clear on what you want and what the end goal is, instead of just saying, oh yeah, I want 100K. Like, why? How is that going to help you? What is the purpose of this? So always be very clear on why you're doing what you're doing, or even with purchasing a car, or even the housing situation, maybe it's not best for you to just stay at home or to live there temporarily, and maybe you're ready to go, and maybe you're ready to go to this new city, and that's going to help you in other areas of your life. So just be critical and thinking about this, and don't only consider the money. Money is important, but I need you to think about the whole picture. If you like this video, you'll love the others on my channel. Feel free to check them out, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheering for you. You got this. Keep building the life you love, and keep building the person that you love. Bye, guys.